Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, as you can see, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon where I'll be talking about the movies, obviously, the TV shows, or what have you. If it's related to Disney in any shape or form, then yes, of course, I'll be talking about it. So here we are, of course. Anyway, so I figured I would again talk about one of these direct-to-video features I just watched not that long ago. So here we are, of course. And it's, yes, Barbie Fairytopia, because why not, I guess you can say. Whatever, it's fine. I don't mind it, really. When you think about Mattel and Disney have done a thing together before, so I don't say why not. Even though technically Disney was not involved with this production, really, just so you know. But anyway, this is the movie I'll be talking about today, folks. Might as well. It was released in 2005. The movie premiered on Nickelodeon on March 6th of 2005, and it was released on VHS tape and DVD 2 days later. So there you go. It was released internationally through Universal Video and Entertainment Rights. So yeah, it was definitely one movie that a lot of people did watch when they were much younger, obviously. This was the franchise's first attempt to actually have more of an original story, by which I mean it was not based upon on already existing material, whether it's a book, a poem, a short story collection, or what have you. So yes, this was the first attempt to actually have its own thing going on. So that's a good thing there, clearly. Boy. Yeah, of course there's gonna be people getting mad at me for reviewing this kind of a thing. Oh, definitely. And everyone's still people like this to get so violent, angry over this. Come on, Killer then. It's telling women about the patriarchy and how this will rise up against men. Oh, it's you again. Okay, you never go away. You're so annoying. I'm sorry, what? Just shut up. Oh, please. You know what's going on here. Because it's a secret agenda. Alright then, whatever. So, of course, like always, I still do have to talk about the plot. So let's just get into it, shall we? So, here we go. Oh yeah. In this film, we get to see that Barbie is playing this character. She has this role of Elena. Elena is this fairy character, not just any fairy. She is this flower fairy type of character who lives in, you guessed it, Fairytopia. But the thing is that, unlike the other characters, the fairies I mean, Elena does not have wings, which, yes, of course, as you can guess already, will play a major part later on in the film, and she's actually mocked for it, of course. She gets ridiculed for not having wings, for being too different, I suppose. Elena and her best friend learn that one of the guardians has supposedly been kidnapped, so Elena returns to her flower home in disbelief. Like, how can this really happen? And whatnot. But anyway, so it just seems like there's a bit of a situation here that needs to be dealt with. Of course, you've got to have some kind of conflict going on in these stories. You know, something that would have an adventure to make things go off, of course. So there's this whole thing, this beautiful spirit, of course, so to speak. And I guess Elaine is supposed to be the type of person to have high spirits, so to speak, obviously. But she really longs for a sparking set of wings. That's a part of the story. But the thing is that, to complicate matters, when the evil individual awakens all the flying creatures, Elena must find the guardian. So, for some assistance, I guess you can say. So, there's that. So, it's not super easy as you may expect, I guess you can say. So, yeah, it's basically taking place in this enchanted world and whatnot, and have this grand adventure, of course, some kind of way. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on, Rogan. What are you trying to do here? Want to teach little girls that they're more important
Damn boys, is that what it is?
Ah, Christ, it's this guy again. I mean, can you just piss off? This has nothing to do with you.
What do you mean? It's everything to me. I try to stammer to you. What? Is Mattel paying you off? Is Disney paying you off?
You're an idiot!
Alright, pal, what you say here doesn't make any sense. So what if Barbie is very adventurous?
Well, that makes her really more tomboyish than compared to other female characters who are really feminine.
You can do both, you know. You can make the character be feminine and be adventurous. You realize that, right?
It makes me feel uncomfortable about my sexuality.
Oh, Christ, we've been down this road already. Why do we have to repeat it? Christ.
It makes her too much of a tomboy.
Except that it doesn't.
Yeah, it does,
Except that it doesn't.
but it does though.
Okay, I'm going to bring Alphas into this in just a second here. Just have an idea here. Okay, for an example, let's say, yes, we have the characters like Riku from the Final Fantasy games. She's pretty feminine in her own way, and she's a bit tomboyish too at the same time. That's fine. So, okay, let's just say that Alphas doesn't meet up with a rather feminine looking individual. Like, I know when it comes to YouTube or TikTok or even Twitch, would like to bring in fanboys and whatnot into some kind of discussion that does that make you gay or what have you, and maybe that could be the thing. Maybe okay, it doesn't really make you gay, but anyway, maybe could tell Air Force he could meet up with someone like this. Oh, hey Air Force.
Oh, my favorite.
So anyway, I can say that the animation is quite good, even though it's way made way back then, of course, in 2005. I mean, okay, yes, the animation is going to come off a bit dated even today's standards, but again, you do have to remember that this is from the early 2000s, so you could just kind of excuse it for a little bit, I guess. But anyway, the animation is fine for what it's worth. It's very colorful, obviously. It's very colorful throughout the entire thing. I like it. I like the animation here because it stands out in its own little way. Of course, it does have this fantasy feel to it, obviously. And that is a part of the charm of these type of movies, is that fantasy element. And yes, you could use the animation itself as a way to express this kind of styled storytelling throughout the entire thing. And of course, Barbie herself, or I should say Elena, could have various friends because she's definitely that type of friendly individual. And yes, you could use again the animation to express this because you do have to keep in mind the fact that yes, I do realize what I'm about to say is like pulling out the obvious, but film itself is a very expressive medium when it comes to visuals. And yes, of course, you can use again animation as a way to take advantage of this, and it really shows. The characters in various environments is very colorful, like I was saying, various soft colors and whatnot, various pinks or blues. And that's fine. You can use this as a way to help to push the story forward and to give you the mindset of the type of genre this is going to be for. And as for the character designs themselves are actually quite nice too. The character designs here are very detailed in their own way. So the character designs for the artwork isn't too shabby, all things considered, as I mentioned a moment ago. So with that in regard, of that. I did like what they were trying to aim for. So there was that. It's very colorful. The backgrounds and scenery is very nicely done, very nicely put together. And other than that, I can definitely say that the music is very whimsical, of course, and that's fine. The story itself matches with the. As far as music is concerned, is very whimsical, as it should be. When it comes to these types of animated features, yes, of course, the music is very whimsical, and I didn't mind that really, like at all. Another obvious statement is music. You have to have music in this feature, regardless of genre, regardless if it's animated or otherwise. But you would be surprised on how many people would miss it. Yes, music is very important when it comes to this movie as well. Again, regardless of its genre. The music does play an important part of this because he's trying to give you a sense of the location. He's trying to give you a sense where the story takes place in, as an attempt to create this crazy wild ride for these characters, I guess you can say. So there's that. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say here is that yes, the music does play an important part of the film, and it does create a mood for the entire film, and rightfully so. And yes, this does help to create a good movie. Yes, what I'm saying here is that there's plenty of what is going for it. I can definitely recommend this movie. Of course, they were really trying to. When I say they, I mean the script writers, of course. Anyway, the character of Elena, they were really trying to make her be one of these relatable characters in this film. She's teased a lot, like I was saying earlier, because she's different than the other fairies. But the good thing is that she does have a friend that will stand up for her and does that quite often. I reckon ultimately what this movie is about is an underdog because it's centered around Barbie, or I should say Elena, just being ridiculed for being different. So of course she's gonna be mocked and everything, and she has to pretty much prove to the to her peers for even though despite the fact that she's been shunned for being different. So there's this wicked character, there's like this evil character out there. And the evil character, she's a pretty decent villain in this. This villain does pose a threat to pretty much the good people of this land, so to speak. Of course, you're going to have a good villain. A good villain is very important when it comes to these types of movies. I mean, yes, there's other ways to create conflict, yes, but still, you're going to have a villain. Make sure the said villain is well written. So there's that. So yeah, I do like the message. And yeah, so as you can guess yourself, there's another movie from the franchise that does have a message, as these often do. So that's not surprising because having a positive message in one way or another pretty much became a thing for these movies, and this is no different. So, oh, yes, I'm saying that that's became a trademark for these types of movies. Gotta have a message, gotta have a pretty good message. Another thing I want to say here, real quick, is that the world building. Yes, the world building in this land here is actually not too shabby either, really. So, the world building, you see a number of different life, I guess you can say. So, it's pretty vast in its own little way. So, I really do like the setting right here, folks. You see various characters, creatures, and whatnot living throughout this land. So, yes, the world building here is actually quite nice. And it works for what they were trying to aim for in this one. Oh, yeah, I can definitely say that. But yeah, I can definitely say it does work for what they were aiming for. And at the end of the day, I can't really complain too much in regards of that. Also, to be perfectly clear here, I'm not trying to give this some praise due to the fact, oh, I just grew up with these movies way back when, and now I'm just saying this kind of things because of nostalgia. Okay, no, I never watched this as a kid. Okay, because first of all, I'm over 100 years old, so there's that. And also, I didn't watch this movie up until recently. So yes, of course, I could have been watched this. That's true, but I didn't see this during its original initial release, like at all. It was like quite some time later, after the fact of its original release, then I watched it. I just watched this recently, at least recently in time of the recording of this video, anyway. So I don't want anyone to think, oh, I'm just being biased here because of some childhood nostalgia. And yes, that's of course is a thing for some people. Oh, am I kidding? A lot of people. But that doesn't mean that hasn't included me. Just throwing it out there for those who don't know. Alright, just saying. Anyway, but like I was trying to point out here is that I'm just trying to judge this movie as a movie, even though it was released quite some time ago. Despite that, ultimately, it doesn't really matter when this was released because it could be a good movie regardless. But anyway, just to wrap things up, I can say this was definitely something I could recommend for those who are fans of this kinds of stuff. If this is your cup of tea, I reckon. And again, like I was saying, it definitely has this very fantasy style kind of a thing. And for those who don't know, I'll just say this for real quick. Yes, even before Tinkerbell had her CGI animated film series, which yes was pretty popular for a while, but anyway, she appeared in this Disney fairies thing that they created. This was this Disney franchise created all the way back in 2005, where it was basically this franchise that was built around the characters of Tinkerbell, of course, from the Disney's 1953 animated film Peter Pan. But anyway, this pretty much featured the character and several of the Disney fairy characters in supporting roles and a number of other characters, obviously, and kind of like this story kind of a thing here, which, yes, of course, has illustrations for this kind of a thing. In case you're wondering, yes, this is the name of the book. Tinkerbell was actually in this. So, yeah, this was what you call an original work. It was not based upon anything really. But anyway, just pointing that out there, yes, this existed all the way back in the early 2000s. And yes, of course, I just had to bring this up for a good moment here, folks, just so you know. Because the thing is that, yes, even back then, what I'm trying to say here is that Tinkerbell pretty much gave this, which yes meant that this movie, or movies, I should say, was pretty much competing against that because Disney had their own fairy thing going on, and it just seems like since fairies, or pixies, I should say, were pretty popular in children's entertainment, so of course there's going to be quite a few people attempting to do the same kind of thing. So you have to make yourself stand out in some kind of way. When it comes to characters, the characters themselves are pretty likable in their own way. Yes, there's plenty of characters that I did like here. This film has no shortage of cool characters in their own way. Yes, of course, Barbie, or I should say Elena, is definitely one of the character of Elena is definitely, I would say, a pretty great character on her own. And yes, there's plenty of other characters, like we were saying, her friend that pretty much was trying to help her out. Her friend does make a pretty good sidekick. And there's plenty of other characters I want to mention, but I don't want to spoil it. The secondary characters are pretty grand in their own way. The secondary cast is filled with plenty of cool characters. And I'll just leave it at that, really. The voice acting isn't too shabby though. The voice acting is quite solid as well. I would think that the voice acting is quite good actually. I like the voice acting here from the actors and actresses that play these characters throughout the feature. They actually did a pretty good job in that regard as well. So there's no complaints in that regard. They did what they supposed to do. So they succeeded in a lot of ways when it comes to their voice acting. So ultimately, I have no complaints. Not really. Okay, I may not have seen this during its original release, but hey, at least I got to it eventually. So I'll give this film an overall rating of a 7.0 out of 10. It's a 7.010 for me. So of course, as always, thanks for watching and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh yeah, later. Oh, definitely.